Welcome back to Molonlave Wargaming. This is War in the Pacific Admirals Edition, play-by-email campaign, playing as Japan. We're now setting up the December 9th, 1941 turn. Where we left off, we had the enemy putting a great deal of ships out to sea. In particular, we saw a lot of action going on around the Philippines and Singapore. We didn't get a whole lot of strikes on those ships that put to sea. Looks like weather may have interfered with Nell strikes around Singapore. So we have a whole bunch of untouched enemy task forces moving northwest through the Strait of Malacca. There's also a lot of enemy task forces hugging the coast in the Philippines. One of our strikes targeted the Houston and Boise, so that's significant that we even spotted them, and the Boise did sustain some bomb and torpedo hits. But anyways, moving on to the setup for this turn. In China, we've reached Hong Kong with some of our troops, but not all of them, which means we're going to just kind of hold off for a little while. We do have troops in contact in the central area, just east of Wuchang. That's going to be a battle this turn. And we've come into contact with troops over here in the Kaifeng area. We're not going to attack here because this is more difficult terrain, and we don't have a whole lot of troops there relative to the number of enemy troops there. So hanging tight for now. And that's all we really need to say about China. Looking over Malaya, you may remember last turn that we had extra bombers hitting. I'm pretty sure that the extra bombers hit Kotobaru. It might have been Kwanton, but Kwanton Air Base is in relatively good shape while Kotobaru's trashed, so I'm going to say the extras came to Kotobaru. And that's unfortunate because it's going to take a while before we can bring this base to life. For the moment, we have 2 construction companies plus the Combat Engineering Regiment. They're going to be working on bringing that damage down, and I'm going to be sending some aviation support units that way. I'll be looking to see if I have any spare construction units that I can send there in the meantime as well. The Nells and Bettys are basically getting taken off any sort of land attack duty for now, so they can concentrate on naval attacks. So maybe we'll get a shot at some of these guys if they decide to at least get close enough. Range is going to be an issue. The Nells can only make it 14. We do have 1 Betty squadron that can make it to 17. So they're kind of going to be the primary source of attacks, as at least the Bettys can get into the Strait of Malacca, where these guys are currently range 17. We have a whole lot of units currently offloading in Patani, not really enough to get a whole lot of guys moving yet. Singora, we're just about unloaded with the units that are there, so we're mostly offloading supplies. Plus we've got some additional aviation support just about ready to arrive at Singora, which is quite badly needed, as you could see with the amount of the deficit in aviation support here. One source of concern in this theater is we have these 2 unknown ships moving east across the Sarawak coast. On the off chance that these might be warships, I've detached the Isuzu from the amphibious task force here, since, you know, it's not like these guys need to support the invasion anymore. The invasion's over. So they're going to just rendezvous with the Miri task force, so there will be a little bit more firepower here if there's an encounter. We also made a mistake last turn, which apparently I haven't fixed yet either. But that's that. This task force was allowed to retire. when what it's actually supposed to be doing is hanging out here and providing support in case warships come through. Yeah, so part of the reason these guys probably made it through is because this task force reached its destination here and then started going back to Cameron Bay. Unfortunate. So, moving to the Philippines, we can see they seem to be hugging the coast, trying to get ships out of the area. So, you know, coastal presence here, coastal presence here. So, my deployments for the turn, the heavy task force was kind of patrolling this whole area. I'm going to choke up a bit. I'll leave this strait open on this end since it doesn't look like anyone wants to go out that far. I've detached 2 cruisers and 2 destroyers from the Catawba invasion task force, and they're going to come around to the east side of the Philippines to keep an eye on this area here. Mini KB is going to move to the south to hopefully get some strikes on anyone that wants to try to run towards the Seram Sea. Carrier Division 2 is just going to kind of move off Cebu here and look for opportunities for strikes in that area. We'll be attacking Catawba this turn, so then we can get straight to work on getting an airfield up and running there. Speaking of which, this task force here has aviation support units to help bring that to life as soon as possible once that happens. Luzon, we have looks like mostly artillery and construction units ready to land to supplement the forces at Vigan. Most of what's here has already unloaded. I see this amphibious task force is mostly supplies. This amphibious task, well, this, I've actually broken these guys off because they've finished loading, so they're going to go back to Takao to pick up another load. Similarly, Laog, just supplies. They're going to be headed back soon. Second Formosa Infantry Regiment is headed to San Fernando. And then we also have this unit coming into Lingayen, so that's going to include infantry, artillery, and armor support. So that'll be a pretty big punch. Like in Malaya, I'm also taking most of the Bettys and Nels off land attack duty, and that's because we have so many ships at sea over here around Manila, and even in Hong Kong there's ships putting to sea. I want to get strikes out on these guys. I've moved Mabels and Vals from those smaller squadrons to Luzon. They're going to be headed to Catawba next, once that gets captured. Kido Butai is still very much being monitored out of Pearl. It's a little bit concerning. Because we have all these contacts at Johnston, I'm going to keep them heading in the direction of Truk, but I've basically altered course so that we're going to do a flyby on Johnston. So if these guys want to stick around, we should be able to get an airstrike on them. Last thing I want to touch on, we do have a whole bunch of amphibious task forces heading out into the Bismarck and Solomon Sea area. For now, I'm ordering these guys to hold because I want to give the Kido Butai a chance to get here, along with that other heavy task force heading in from the Wake area. Basically, that's just a lesson learned from last time around. I'm concerned that there could be significant resistance in the form of enemy cruisers or aircraft flying out of Rabaul, so I'm just going to tap the brakes for a day or two to let those forces close in a little bit. And with that, I think I'm just about ready to close this out. So I'm going to do a little bit of work on all those millions of task forces around Japan, verify that everything's going well with my economy, and I will be sending my turn to my opponent. So, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the combat replay. Thanks. We're back. Replay for December 9th, 1941, now in progress. Got some reactions going on. Let's see if that leads to any combat. So far, no interceptions. Amphibious landings at Kotabo proceeding. Along with their landings at Kwanton. No issues. Lots of traffic in the Strait of Malacca. Alright, this is one of our submarines outside of Singapore. We've caught, I think it's a light cargo ship. And I like to see that we're attacking it on the surface with the guns, conserving our torpedoes for more important targets. Alright, I'll take it. Heavy fires, heavy damage. I'll call that a kill. Alright, caught a submarine. This is deep water, so I don't think we're going to get this guy. Doesn't matter. Oh, I said we caught a submarine. We didn't catch him. He attacked us. Alright, got two more cargo ships leaving Hong Kong that we caught. This should be a skippable fight. Yeah, used up a bit of ammo on that. Ah. This'll be a waste of ammunition. And they're using the big guns. That's what I like to see, the destroyers hitting it instead of a battleship. Yeah, the battleship's engaging again. 14 centimeter, I guess that's a secondary battery. 12 and a half, 5-inch. And there's the main battery again. Well, hopefully that sinks it just outright. Oh, jeez. I mean, how many main battery rounds did this thing fire? What a waste. I'm going to have these guys rearm. Yeah, I got to give myself a note to check the ammo on these. Care a lot less about ammunition consumption with these smaller ships. Alright, so apparently we resighted the ship we shot up earlier. Not a big deal. Just had an encounter that didn't actually lead to combat. Alright, this is at long range, so I'm just going to skip it. It's not like we're going to get hit by torpedoes at that range. We break off anyway, no hits. heavy cruisers versus an AKL. Alright. Got this guy in shallow water. Let's get him. Out of ammo already. Wow. Wow. And we were hitting him too. Well, if you're going to expose yourself, you better shoot. Come on, little sub. Yeah, that little cargo ship's fighting pretty good, isn't he? Getting hit by 30 cal machine guns. There we go. Get some real hits on the enemy there. Yeah, at this point I don't mind using the torpedoes just because that fight was just getting stupid. Alright, so that's yet another AKL down. Alright, one of our mine-laying subs almost got attacked by a minesweeper. Alright, now we've got an enemy minesweeper that caught one of our subs in the Strait of Malacca and has already damaged it. Fortunately, not a lot of damage. They're not getting deep enough. I don't have too many subs that close. It's probably transitioning to a patrol area on the other side of Hawaii. Alright, it's a new amphibious landing at Miri. And that was all before the sun came up. Oh, what have we here? Allied patrol craft runs into one of our smaller amphibious task forces. Do not engage. Well, we've identified... Oh, why did we evade combat? Probably because we're low on ammo from the supporting the shore bombardment. But at least now we know who that is. We know it's just a cargo ship. Combat at 16,000 yards. These guys aren't going to hurt us. Got one of them. Alright, we just sank a patrol craft. And we got the other PT boat off Hong Kong. Alright, intercepting a tanker. Java Sea. That's a kill. Another tanker, but we missed this one. Got somebody retreating from a surface contact in the Philippine Sea. That's going to be worth keeping an eye out for. Well, that's another dead tanker. come the airstrikes. Let's get some kills. Alright, starting with Manila. 3 P-40s defending. Just cargo ships. Okay, PG, that's a little better. Alright, I'll take it. Why are they carrying bombs? Gonna have to look into that. Damn, lost one to flak. Port attack did nothing. Heavy cloud cover probably didn't help. There we go. Getting some use out of the valves. That's a dead minesweeper. That wasn't very effective. Decent. This is a raid against retreating units. Looks like they're already pretty banged up. Yeah, 242 casualties, not bad, but no units actually destroyed. Another raid against retreating units. Not expecting much here since they're in the jungle. Yeah, not a whole lot of damage there. Although hopefully we've slowed them down enough that we could catch them. And then actually deal casualties with them with our land forces. That's pretty good. Alright, enemy attack. Only got nates on defense, so these guys get through. The P-40Es aren't the ones attacking, though, so that makes a difference. I don't expect these float planes to do a whole lot of damage. Still, this is something I have to pay attention to. If they're going to be going on offense like this, and all I've got are, what, 2 nates? That's not good enough. Speaking of, fairly large raid, only defended by nates. This is going to be a bit of a slap fight. Nope, we've hit them a bunch of times, but haven't brought anyone down yet. There we go. At least we've got a lot of nates in this fight. Oh, and thunderstorms. Let's see, what were they attacking here? That's a port attack. That's interesting, because I don't think I'm using the port. The worst thing they could do, in my opinion, would be to bomb the airbase. It's going to take me a while to bring the airbase to life anyways, because of how much I bombed it. Well, we got our strike on Johnston. Alright, it's enough to kill a minesweeper. Anybody else? Oh, got some overkill. Ooh. Decent amount of P-40s protecting the ships at Cebu. I'm gonna guess that means this is the Houston and Boise, since they merited this kind of defense. No match for the Zeros. Oh! Just cargo ships. Maybe they're evacuating some important unit? Just a single ship. Well, I mean, that raid ended up being worth it just for the P-40 kills. Of course, it depends on who was on board this cargo ship, but there's no casualties reported, so probably empty. So maybe those Zeros were just protecting, you know, one of these nearby bases. Alright. That's it. Just the one ship. Well, that's a lot of Kates for not a lot of target. Didn't look like the light carrier sent anybody out that time. Oof, more action at Manila. Find it interesting that they have more aircraft on defense in the afternoon than they did in the morning. They might actually be able to get at our Bettys. Let's get some kills before they get through. Okay, just one gets through. No kills. Ah, well, fairly large ship there. We missed it. Okay, second sortie. Alright, let's get them. Damn. Alright. Vigan. The dreaded B-17s. I like to see that the Zeros are helping out a bit. It's not just Nate's this time. Chased him off. Just one P-40 shot down, and hopefully some P-17s will be crashing when they get back to base. Alright. Now, definitely seem to have a pattern of attacking low-value ships. There's enough targets to pick from that I would think there's some higher value ones out there. But the AKLs are doing a good job at drawing our fire. Bye-bye, coastal minesweeper. Uh-oh, it's a fairly large coastal defense battery. Okay, took 2 hits, enough to get us on fire. But it's not enough to save Catawba. We'll have it tomorrow. Alright, deliberate attack out in the open near Wuchang. Easy win. 226 combat units destroyed. Like to see that. Alright, for Kotabo. And it's ours. That'll be an airbase for us tomorrow. Units destroyed, or 1 unit destroyed. Good news for us. Second attempt at Kwanton. And we've got it. Got a couple Blenheims on the ground, and lots of enemy casualties, including 1 unit wiped out. Tarawa, no resistance. Mobwan, these are paratroops, no resistance. To Gagaro, also paratroops, no resistance. Alright, in spite of the number of attacks that took place, I call that a pretty quiet turn, and in a sense that's a good thing. They didn't interfere with any of our plans, is really what that came down to. We're progressing in Malaya, Malaya in particular, and everything else seems fine, and well, the Japanese war machine is moving on after another successful turn without having to pay a whole lot for our gains. So, starting in China, we had 3 naval engagements off Hong Kong, 1 featuring a heavy cruiser task force led by the cruiser Maya that sank 2 PT boats. That was out further along the coast, further north than Hong Kong. In close proximity to Hong Kong, the NACA surface action group engaged 2 different task forces and ended up sinking 2 cargo ships and 2 light cargo ships near Hong Kong. We also had some ground combat in that open space near Wuchang. We managed to win that fight and rout the enemy without having any devices, meaning squads, vehicles, guns, etc. No devices lost, but 345 enemy devices destroyed. So pretty good victory there, and in the future that those victorious units are basically going to be pulling back and headed north to participate in more important fights. Moving on to the Philippines, we have landings taking place at Kwanton and Miri. The Miri landings are new this turn. Our ground forces managed to capture Kwanton with the cost of just one device lost, while destroying 421 enemy devices, along with blowing up 2 Blenheims on the ground. For naval actions, we engaged an enemy sub off Kuching, barely managed to damage it. And over in the Karimata Strait, that's the name of the body of water that separates the South China Sea and the Java Sea. I looked it up because I got tired of not knowing it. But plenty of submarine action there. So we sank 2 light cargo ships. One's just a probable sinking. That was the one that we shot up mostly with gunfire. But then we also attacked 3 tankers, sinking 2 of those 3 with submerged torpedo attacks. And then further south, if we want to go all the way to Oosthaven and consider that part of the theater, there was a coastal minesweeper that was blown up by a sub down there too. We had some airstrikes of significance, one against retreating soldiers in Taiping. That caused 242 casualties on the grounds. That was pretty successful. And then in Kota Bharu, there was a similar strike between the jungle and maybe lighter payloads being carried by the aircraft. That only caused 12 casualties. But the objective of these strikes, especially the Kota Bharu one, isn't necessarily to kill them off right away. It's to make sure that they move slowly, so our forces can hopefully catch them and destroy them before they get to Singapore. So even with just the 12 casualties, that may be accomplishing their objective. Moving over to enemy actions, they caught one of my submarines in the Strait of Malacca with a minesweeper. That submarine was engaged for slight damage, but fortunately nothing serious. There were also port strikes being performed by enemy medium bombers. 6 138 WH-3s attacked Kuching, failed to score any hits. At Kota Bharu, they were attacked by 15 Blenheims. We had 21 Nates on cap, which were able to shoot one of the Blenheims down, and the Blenheims did not get any hits on the base. Moving over to the Philippines, we have landings taking place at Catabo and Manado. I believe the Manado landing is new this turn. We captured Manado along with capturing by paratroops Mabuan and Tugigaro. For naval actions, we had a heavy task force that sank a light cargo ship off Jolo. Another heavy task force, this one led by heavy cruisers instead of battleships, that sank another light cargo ship off Dejengas. We had our second mine-laying sub arrive at Bataan and drop off its mines. It was actually caught by an enemy minesweeper that was probably clearing the mines that were already there. Fortunately, we got away with no damage on that. We had a pretty busy day in terms of airstrikes. Betty's attacked a task force forming up in Manila Harbor. There were 3 P-40s on combat air patrol over that, although that did not result in any air losses. That strike sank a PG. Later on, Vals hit Manila, and they sank a minesweeper. There was a later raid trying to attack transport and a destroyer. At that point, they managed to get 8 P-40 ups on cap, and they shot down a 0, one of our few losses of the day. The bombers still got through, but they managed to miss the targets. Then we also had a port attack on Manila. For whatever reason, they completely failed to hit anything, and we lost 1 Nell to flak for our troubles. Carrier Division 2 was quite busy. They sank a regular cargo ship, a light cargo ship, and a aviation support destroyer. During the raid on the cargo ship, they were opposed by 7 P-40s on cap. We had 11-0 escorts. That combat resulted in 4 P-40s shot down, no losses on our side. The baby KB got in on the action and sank an AKL of its own. For enemy operations, they are still clearing the minefield at Bataan, which it just got expanded. They attempted a submarine attack on the mini KB just off Djangas. I don't think they ever spotted any of the carriers, so they don't know that that was the mini KB, probably. In any case, their torpedoes missed. We didn't get the submarine either. There was also a naval strike by 2 Seagull float planes against the invasion force that's approaching Lingayen. Fortunately, they both missed. And finally, B-17s attempted to raid Vigan. We don't know what the B-17's target was. Could have been a naval strike, could have been another one of these port strikes, since that's popular. Maybe targeting ground forces. They had 6 P-40 escorts, and they ran into 12 Zeros and 4 Nates on cap. That resulted in 1 P-40 being shot down, following with the bombers retreating. Then just to wrap it up with a few odds and ends, we had a submarine caught by an enemy destroyer as it passed nearby Pearl Harbor, but it received no damage. We had another submarine detect and sink a patrol craft west of Pearl, and then southwest of Pearl at Johnston Island, the Kido Butai launched an airstrike and sank a minesweeper. Over in the Dutch East Indies, we had an amphibious task force that's approaching Serang get attacked by 3 Dutch 139 WH-3s. They missed. And finally, we invaded Tarawa and captured it. Alright, so that's going to do it. We will see you for the next video when we set up the December 10th turn. Thank you for watching.